Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and create sort of a section cut that covers up some of the messiness of this section because I don't want to have to go in and remodel it or fix it. And so the way I'm going to do that, it's a little different, but I'm going to come in and I'm going to go to my site plan. And this is the section that I'm using right here, this longitudinal schematic. So I'm going to put in a reference plane. I'm going to type in RP. And I'm just going to come in and get as close to that section as I can, left clicking and then drawing directly to the left that reference plane. And then I'm just going to name it S-cut for section cut. S-cut. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to go to my section view. So not the 3D view, but the section view right here. And I'm going to come in, and you can see sort of the outline of that section because I'm in a larger section here. I'm going to come in and draw a generic model solid around this thing. So if I go to Component, Model in Place, and I pick Generic Model, give it a name, we'll call it Cut. And I want to do an extrusion, and it's going to ask me to set a work plane, and I can come down to the named work planes and I can pick my S-cut and click OK. And then I can either draw on that or I can actually pick lines if there happens to be a line in that area that I can pick. Sometimes there's not because the section's not going right through an area where you can pick a line. But like there's a line for the floor, so I can pick that floor, go through and sort of pick these guys. It's telling me that these two lines overlap. So I'm going to come over to Modify, and I'm just going to pick this one and delete it and pick, let's see if there's another one in there. So I had two lines there. And sometimes it's better to come in and draw the lines. So I'm just going to draw a line here, and I'll draw it over to about right there, and then I'll draw down a certain amount, and I'll come over a certain amount, maybe about to right here, and then I'll come up, and then I'm going to have to just sort of follow this topography as best as I can because Revit does not like to snap to topography. So I'm just going to come in here and kind of work my way across. I'm not going to be perfectly exact, but it will give you near snaps, right, to basic model items, but the topography it just doesn't really acknowledge as a snappable object even when you have section through it. So I'm just going to come in here and maybe make this section cut a little bigger than the existing one so it overlaps it. And now we'll just close that up. So now I have a closed loop. And over here it's going to do a 20-foot extrusion. I don't really want to do that. I'm just going to say I want a 2-inch extrusion. And then I'm going to hit check. And it's going to extrude that. And I'm going to give it a material over here. And I'm just going to, let's duplicate the default material. And I'll name it S-cut. And we'll go to the appearance and duplicate that appearance so it's not sharing qualities with any other material. So duplicate it, and I'm going to change the color to blue. Click OK. And in the graphics, I'm going to use render appearance for shading and click OK. So now that's been assigned to that. If I left click off it, you'll see the blue. If I finish the model and I go to my default 3D view, right, you're going to see that thing sticking up out of the ground. So one of the shortcomings is that you'll have to hide it in some views where you don't want it to be seen. But what you can do now is if I go back to my section cut view, right, that I made, so if I go to my 3D views and go to my PAR section, right, I can come in and I can duplicate that. And now if I come in and I extend that section box a little bit, so I'm going to turn the section box on. And I'm just going to extend it out a little bit. Let's see if we can get that. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to extend this section box, but I think I'm going to go about it another way. I'm going to go back to the regular view, close the hidden reveal elements, and you'll see that you have a section cut here, right? And that's actually that blue section cut. And if I come in and I isolate that element, and let's go to shaded, it's that blue color, right? And so what I want to do now is I want to actually put a color on it that shows up in hidden line view. So if I go to hidden line, it turns back to white. But what I want to do is come into the visibility graphics and actually I want to change the material. So I'm going to pick that object, edit in place, pick that guy again, and the section cut material, if I alter it, I can come into section cut, and the graphics tab is a surface pattern. And if I make that blue, so if I click on the none and I go to the pattern and I make that solid, click OK, and then make this blue, it will actually put a surface pattern on it, oops, in hidden line view, and it will print as a vector. So now I have this guy and I have my other section cut view. And now all I need to do is crop them, get them to the right scale, and place them on the sheet, one overlaying the other. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to turn on my crop region. There it is. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and finish the model. So I have finished that generic model, and I'm going to adjust this crop box. And the view is set to 1/16 of an inch, which should be okay. Let's look at the size and crop size of it. Yeah, 14 and 9/16, which of course I would change to 14 and 1/2 and 6 and 1/2, just so it doesn't drive me crazy. Right? And click OK. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go to, I'm going to rename this because I have my partial section, but I really need to rename this and name it partial section cut fill. All right. And so now I have that, and I also have my partial section that should be in the same orientation as that one. And I can come in and double check my crop region on this one. So if I show my crop region, turn it on, unhide and view elements. And I could adjust this a little bit too. It's not going to be as small as the other one. And then in here, I'm just going to come in and tab select until I get that generic model. And I'm just going to hide in view. So let's just hide element. Right? So we'll just hide that element. And so now what I'm going to do is place each of these on a sheet in order. So if I go to the composition sheet, I can place the product PAR section here, and then I should be able to bring the PAR section cut fill and place it on top of that and move it into place. Right? It takes a bit of doing, but you know, now if I adjust that, I should be able to get it just about right, and I can adjust my cropping box and whatnot. If I needed to come in, I could adjust that and get a better sort of matching up. I wasn't too exact. But now I have two views on top of each other, and I have the fill that is smooth and doesn't show the errors of the other model. Not errors, but the sort of makeup of the multiple pieces of the other model. All right. So that's it for that guy. And the next thing we'll do is this top view.